Okay, folks, this is an interesting one. It's got a serious message behind it, and it's a message that I am related to because it happened to me on quite a few occasions, on many occasions, and it's not nice. Not nice at all. It's fucking awful. But you get those sorts of people out there. And there seems to be more of them than good ones. Okay, let's see what we have here. Harper's Bazaar, otherwise known as the Harp On Baz magazine. This is an old one, September 2020. We're interested in this. Women's aid. When it's a pattern, it's abuse. So abuse of women. I've been through that, folks. It's very hard to read these words. These are like forms of abuse that they've got going around like a pattern. It's just to say that there are patterns of abuse in relationships, that when it keeps happening, I don't know, it shouldn't happen at all, folks. Even if it's a mistake, it's not a nice thing when a man gets really abusive towards his woman. And it happened to me, folks. I got sexually abused by in four different relationships, and my last relationship I was abused emotionally, verbally, financially, and he was a control freak, and he was really had a rage about him. He's horrible, and I haven't been in a relationship with anyone since. That was really quite nice, but we're going to enlarge it more on the horizontal. But yeah, I really found that I was finding myself in all kinds of horrible relationships, and I know I could have avoided it if I had gone with Luigi, if I had married him instead of fucking around. Fortunately, my virginity wasn't stolen. I've got my virginity still intact, ready for Luigi. If I can get on the 6 o'clock news on Channel 9. I know Luigi's not like all those other men that I've dated. He would never do what these men did to me. He would never, folks. He's not like that. He's a beautiful, steadfast, beautiful man that I really love and I really care for, who I really miss. I do, I miss him, folks. I miss him. I miss my beautiful friend. He's a friend as much as he's a companion. He is a friend, and I never again want to do what I did to him. And I'm trying to get on the 6 o'clock news so I can get in touch with him. And it's really proven to be difficult trying to get these recalcitrant news people interested in something that's a bit offbeat, a bit different to what they normally expect from somebody who wants their stuff to be put on the news and read. And it's difficult trying to compete with all sorts of shit. So my future is riding on it, folks. It's a bit dark. It's too dark, folks. Too fucking dark. But yeah, it's like this man some of these men that I knew were just so horrible, it wasn't funny. And the abuse was absolutely heinous. It's horrible, folks. So be careful if you're a female. You know, be careful who you fucking date, because you just don't know, and it could end up in homicide, and you don't want to die in a bad relationship. So this is shit. This is coming up shit. This one looks interesting. But yeah, you just have to fucking be careful, folks, when you're in a relationship, when you're considering a relationship, you know, you just have to be careful who you date, what they're like. You just don't know just how destructive they can become, how dangerous they are, until you fucking dealt with them. You don't want to fucking mess with those sorts of men. Men can also be abused as well as well. It's not just women who get abused. Men can find themselves in a spot of bother as well. It's a shame they don't make enough provisions for men that get domestically abused, because a woman can just pick up a knife, and once she's got a knife in her hand, she's more likely to end up better off in the fight. This comes up looking quite interesting. Looks shit house, folks. But basically, yeah, you just have to be very careful who you fucking date and who you fucking relate with. You've got to be very, 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 very careful. Otherwise, you could end up being abused, and that is not acceptable, folks. It is not acceptable to be abused just because you're in a relationship. You know, date raping and all that sort of shit. This is not looking very nice. Yeah, that's come up looking really quite interesting. I wanted the writing, but the centre is missing. I do think I should have kept the. I do think I should have done it differently, folks. But yeah, you can see, folks, that this kind of abuse is not acceptable in this world. You know, that people shouldn't be treated like crap just because their partner doesn't get their own way, which is really quite destructive. It's extremely destructive. You don't want that, folks. You just don't fucking want it. Yeah, that's come up looking really quite a treat. The colour in that does look kind of nice. I do wonder if we're going to Yeah, that's come up looking better. I do think that looks better. But yeah, folks, be very careful with who you date. The best thing, some advice I was given many years ago from someone that I used to go to church and fellowship with back in those days. He told me that, disregard the Christian side of things, folks. Just the practical I'm talking. He basically said that the best relationships come from friendships. So you make friends first before you start dating. Then if you make friends, you're less likely to end up in a fucking pickle. You'll get to know the person, you'll trust them, and once you build up the trust, it should hopefully, fingers crossed, naturally mean you slide into a relationship. Although I didn't like that advice, because sometimes I had a crush on this guy and he never stayed my friend. I don't talk to him anymore, but basically, he was really nice and he was really wise sort of a guy, and gave me advice on that. And it's true, and Luigi is my friend. Even though I haven't met him for a while, I feel like I've known him. He comes across as a really nice guy, and if I had gone with him, I would never have went through that kind of all that heavy amounts of abuse. I did get abused in work experience when I was in high school, but I never had. That was probably the only one I had, the first time it had ever happened to me. But it goes to show you've got to be careful with people. It's getting hot now, folks. I'm going to have to put the fan in here when I'm finished this. And that's come up looking quite interesting. I think we can now call this demo quits.